guys in the dark.
I was away on vacation with my family. I returned to my apartment, and the door was open. It was like in a movie, when the main character goes to open up the door, realizes that it's already open. My first thought is, please let this mean that I forgot to lock my door. I turn on the light. I start cursing because I immediately see that all of my movies and video games have been stolen. This doesn't sound like much, but I have a pretty extensive collection, valued at about $5,000. It hurt when I came to this realization, because I had never placed a monetary value on any of my collection. I called the police. There was not much that they could do. The thief, or thieves, even stole my pocket change, and my deceased grandfather's watch. The most bizarre thing about it was the fact that they left many of my valuable items. They left electronics, memorabilia, and art, but all they took were items that could easily pawn off. A week later, I actually found one of my old games at a GameStop. The receipt with my name on it was still in the case. The experience had a profound impact on me. I sold my Xbox, and haven't played video games since then. I just can't justify the money anymore. In the next few months after the incident, I never left valuable items in my apartment. I always carried around my laptop, hard drives, and anything that had value to me. I already had a safe before the incident, another item with priceless items that they had left, and comfortably leaving them at home. I stopped sleeping at my apartment when the semester had started up. This all happened during the summer. I spent most of my time at my girlfriend's, and actually left many of my valuables at her apartment. What struck me most is how important it is to feel safe in your own home, and how quickly I lost that feeling. My apartment was scary, and I felt stripped of my privacy. It took me a while to recover, and moving away from the apartment definitely had helped. It is something that I don't think that I'll fully recover from. It changed the way that I value my possessions. I'm more paranoid about doors, windows, locks, things that I used to take for granted. When I was about 4 years old, we were broken into twice. The first time, my grandfather and mother had been grocery shopping. We arrived home and unlocked the front door. One of the bedroom doors up the passageway had slammed shut from the change in air pressure. My grandfather must have sensed that something was up. He ran up the passageway to the bathroom. The window was open, curtains swinging in the breeze, but there was nobody to be found. They figured that he must have been there very long, for they had arrived home as nothing in the house was touched or even taken. The second time was 3 months later. My mom woke up to someone sitting on the bed with a knife in his hand at 3 o'clock in the morning. Mom says that she froze. She couldn't talk or move, completely petrified. She said that he was mumbling, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. Then next door's neighbor started barking, and he just stood up and walked out. She heard the back sliding door open up, and a minute or so later, the line of light shining through the curtains from the streetlight was blanked out. She grabbed the phone and called my grandfather. All she said was, "There happened to be somebody in my house." He lived about 5 minutes away with her 3 younger teenage brothers. In less than 5 minutes, they pulled into the driveway and scattered to the surrounding house. All barefoot and wearing their underwear. Every single door was unlocked, and the back door was open. There was nobody to be seen. My mother was a mess. There were big muddy footprints in the laundry under the little window that she had left open for the cat. It took a few days for all the weird things this creep had done to be discovered. He had shredded a black negligee that was in the laundry basket, fed the cat, and poured her a bowl of milk. Poured whiskey out of the decanter in the living room and added ice and Coke to it. Somehow had injected salter into the eggs in the fridge. Ate the leftover roast meat out of the fridge. Cut up some catalog that were sitting on the bench. Took a photo of the stovetop and another one of me sleeping on Mom's camera. And left it sitting next to my bed. Tipped salt into my mom's shoes. The knife was out of Mom's block in the kitchen, but they never found it. Just really, really weird shit. The cops had came. Got plenty of fingerprints. Whoever it was didn't have a record. The census eventually, which was a couple years later, was that it was an acquaintance of one of her brothers. It was a bit of a Chinese whisper's conclusion, though. He said X and Y to a person A, who had told B, etc., etc. It got back to Mom's brother. He was eventually locked up on some sort of psychiatric hold for something unrelated. He was never charged with the break-in, though. Messed my mother up for a lot of years. My mom had recently been making a lot of brownies. On this day, she made a particular batch that was greater than any of the brownies that she had made before. We ate a few, but for some reason didn't finish them. We had left them out on the kitchen stove. My mom, my sister, and I all went to sleep later that night, while my dad was out at a meeting. My mom, knowing that my dad would come home in just a few minutes, didn't think she needed to lock up the doors before she went to sleep. Now we're all asleep. Dad pulls into the driveway. The first thing he notices is that our garage is open, and his bike is standing outside. When he turns and looks into the house, standing in our kitchen happens to be a man. My dad doesn't realize what's going on. At first, he assumed that one of his friends had come over, wanted to borrow his bike, but was waiting for him to come home so he could ask him. When the man outside our house sprints out the back door, my dad starts to chase him, but stops. He knows that we're inside, and he wants to make sure that we're all okay. So now we're all gathered downstairs. We notice something. The intruder walked into our house. The first thing he could have seen is the kitchen table. On the kitchen table were 3 wallets, all untouched. Then we look over and see the plate of brownies, completely destroyed. The man who had broken into our house skipped over all of our valuables and went straight for the brownies. At the time, I was more disappointed by the fact that we didn't get to finish them than scared that we had kind of been robbed. Obviously, my mother and dad were pretty freaked out. They bought an alarm system for the house, and my dad didn't sleep for a few days. But other than that, the only thing we lost were some brownies. I go and walk my dog around my house pretty late at night, usually between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., but I live in the woods, and I'm away from people. Anyways, I start walking downstairs. I notice my sister's door is open, and the light is on. It struck me as odd, considering that she moved out 6 years ago, and nobody ever goes in there. I walk in to turn off the light and close the door. I see a man trying to hide behind the closet door. It's broken, filled with boxes, so there's no real way that he could hide away from me. I act like I didn't see him, and I went and grabbed my shotgun from in the other room. Went back in and told him not to move, or I would fucking kill him. He jumped out of the closet, took off running as fast as he could, right past me, into the garage, and ran out into the woods. I could have shot him, but I didn't. I saw his face. A few days earlier, he knocked on my door claiming to know my neighbor, and said that he was looking for copper to sell. Asked if I knew or had any old copper that he could have. I gave him a few old car batteries I had, and that was about it. He said he had 2 daughters he was trying to take care of. I didn't call the cops, but that is the extent of my mercy. If he decided to come back the very next night, he was going to be dead. When I was 4 years old, my parents had worked long hours at a restaurant. They left my brother to babysit me until about 10 or 11 p.m. at night. He's 8 years older than me, so that would make him 12 at the time. Every night when my parents would come home, they would ring the bell, and I would run to greet them at the door with my brother. One day, the doorbell rings, and when I open it up, instead of my parents, it's 4 guys standing there. Apparently, they had been watching the house and knew the routine. They had guns, and they told my brother and me to go downstairs and watch the TV as one of the guys stands guards over us. They let me sit there, but they tied my brother up using his Nintendo cords. I remember going to tug at the cords at my brother's wrist. I really wasn't trying to untie him. It was just more out of curiosity. And the guy actually pointed his gun at me, told me to stop. Then they finished going through the house. They tied both of us to a beam and leave. After a little while, my brother had wiggled out from the bindings, and my parents had came home. The cops were called. Info was given to the police. They got a few pieces of jewelry and a camcorder, but nothing else. I live in a joint family system. My house is at the top, and has just finalized construction. This is the night that we moved in. I'm at the ground floor with my sister and 3 cousins and their parents. We're all laughing and having fun, watching TV, when a masked guy with a gun just walks right in. Now I'm scared shitless because this is Pakistan. And I'm an in-closet atheist, so I think that he's come for me. Instead, he beats up my uncle, starts asking them for the money and jewelry. They go out of the room to look while this one guy watches us. Everyone is dead quiet. We are all kids in here, aside from that one guy laughing and making jokes. He's nice. The others, not so much. One comes in and says that they are from Afghanistan and that Pakistan has helped the U.S. destroy their country, so he's going to rob Pakistan. When he said that we obviously aren't from the government, he says the army did it. I freeze. My dad, who's at the top floor, is in the army. He has been deployed on the Afghan border once. No one's children are on the same floor as the parents, and nobody knows what exactly is going on. I think our floor is the only one. And when they take everybody's phones, I thank God my Nexus is in my room. Uncle comes back with the mean thief. They didn't find enough. Apparently someone told them that we had gold bricks hidden somewhere. This is where I start to calm down. They're here for money, not for me. He then tells the nice guy to shoot me to get them to talk. We manage to talk him out of it. Though, when they take my eldest cousin and tell his parents if they don't cough up more, they're never going to see him again. After a bit more beating and searching, they decide to just leave. My dad comes down after they've left to check on everyone. He's hurt pretty bad. I go check. My Nexus is gone. Thankfully, they didn't touch my PS4 or my PS3. Everyone is safe, though they were about to take a hostage. Also, one of my cousins was apparently crying and begging the gunman not to kill him to the point where the thief had to reassure him that they were not. So yeah. Later on, the police tell us that one of them was killed in a showdown at another house, when one of the neighbors had called the police. My mother is traumatized by this incident. I believe a lot of people in this house are as well.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.